also getting the mineral rights, the mineral extraction rights from Ukraine, that Donald Trump is going to do a big dump of weapons to Ukraine to continue the fun, right? I don't know. Let's get started. President Trump and UK Prime Minister Stalin, okay? UK Prime Minister Keir Stalin in a bilateral meeting.
We have Russia, we have Ukraine. I think we're very well advanced. I think Russia has been acting very well. We have Representatives Steve Witkoff and Scott and Marco and JD. We're all involved. Everyone.
My goat, Steve Goatkoff.
And a lot more. But I think we're very well advanced on a deal, but we have not made a deal yet. So I don't like to talk about peacekeeping until we have a deal. I like to get things done. I don't want to give it the bad luck sign. We don't want to do that. But we've had very good talks with Russia. We've had very good talks, as you know, with Ukraine. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, does the Prime Minister have to choose a closer relationship with the EU as he is seeking and a good trade relationship with you? Which one should he go for?
Well, I think we have just a great relationship. We actually had a good relationship before. We've met a couple of times. I'm very impressed with his wife, I must say. She's a beautiful, great woman. And I said you're very lucky. He's very lucky. And no, we've had a very good relationship.
Let's see if Keir more than Macron. Oh, 100%. That's not even a question. Keir is omega cucked because Macron is French. So as a Frenchman, he's always going to have like a sense of elitism and an opinion that like Anglophones are limited in their behavior, in their culture. Anglophones are lesser. Okay. Keir Starmer not only is British, so he's auto-cucked. That's just how it is. But also is a particularly servile individual too. So I think Keir is a craven, cowardly individual to begin with, and he's British. Like he's not a particularly charismatic person. He's really the worst type of person to talk to Donald Trump. It's Sir Keir Starmer to you. Yes, yes. Might I share two good news involving you, please? First, thanks to my HasanAbi Clips channel, I finally got monetized, and I'm going to keep grinding. Yesterday, we had our first Creatives Union meeting, and next meeting, we're setting up a charter. You were the inspo for this. Thanks for constantly encouraging us. Hell yeah. Keir tried to do the same as Macron, fact-checking him on EU-Ukraine aid, but it was Rizless. Yeah, Keir also is like incredibly uncharismatic. Macron is married to a pedophile, and Kid Starter is friends with pedophiles. That's true. But they're European politicians. Also, American politicians also have obviously direct involvement with pedophiles too. I mean, look at Jeffrey Epstein, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So like, who amongst these people is not like in one way, shape or form directly involved with a pedophile? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, Tate Brothers, we got that going on too. It's become a very weird, like political movement. On the gaming side, a lot of gamers made bigger titties in video games like this unashamed political movement for themselves, right? They try to hit that from the angle of like censorship and talk about how like if we don't have bigger titties in video games, if I can't like sweatily jerk off to every video game that I play, then, you know, this is a genocide. And basically a lot of other content creators and you know, just like right-wing people demonstrating right-wing ideology have actively talked about like undermining age of consent laws for some weird reason. And I don't understand it. Like we are not only getting dumber, but we're getting grosser as well. It truly has made me anti-gooner. Despite the fact that I was almost always a pro-gooner kind of guy, these past couple of years, I think has definitely changed my attitude a little bit because like we are devolving. Like I can't even joke about it anymore because I don't want people to think I'm like those weirdos, you know? Anyway.
He's worried about Britain potentially undoing some of the benefits of Brexit by seeking a closer tie with the EU, who you said was set up to screw.
No, I don't worry about that. I thought, you know, frankly, what they did was the right thing at the time, I think that'll probably prove out over the centuries. You know, you have a long time to go. But I think I predicted that was going to happen, and it did happen. And it'll work it out. I think it's already worked itself out.
Mr. President, can I ask on Chagos, Mr. President? Keir Starmer has signed a deal to give away the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Will you approve that deal?
Well, we're going to have some discussions about that very soon, and I have a feeling it's going to work out very well. They're talking about a very long-term, powerful.
There's some suspicion that after talking to all these European leaders and also getting this, the mineral rights, the mineral extraction rights from Ukraine, that Donald Trump is going to do a big dump of weapons to Ukraine to continue the fun, right? I don't know. I don't know if that will actually happen, but it also wouldn't shock me. I would say that Donald Trump actively saying he's pro-Russia over and over again has been more shocking than Donald Trump continuing the Ukrainian resistance to the best of their ability narrative. Even the fact that he was saying, like, you know, we're going to take all the minerals and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that in and of itself is all that shocking. That's just Donald Trump doing Donald Trump. He softened his tone on Zelensky today since he's coming tomorrow. He said he didn't remember calling him a dictator. Yeah. I mean, that's also classic Trump. If you remember anything from the previous administration when he was president, he would always like say some unhinged things. And then the more reasonable adults around him would be like, oh, he didn't mean it. Like Steve Witkoff, from what I understand, literally went around and was like, yeah, no, he's just saying like he wants to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. But like, it's just to get the conversation started, you know? He doesn't mean it. He just wants to get the conversation started. It's just a prank. He's just pro-ethnically cleansing Palestinians from the Gaza Strip as a way to get the other surrounding Arab coalition partners to get more involved in the conversation, as though they haven't been involved thus far. You know?
Lease, a very strong lease, about 140 years actually. That's a long time, and I think we'll be inclined to go along with your country. Yeah, I think it's a little bit early. We have to be given the details, but it doesn't sound bad. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you obviously can do business with our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. You said yesterday that the EU was constructed to screw the US when it comes to trade. What can our Prime Minister say to you to persuade you not to impose tariffs on the United Kingdom?
Yeah, did I use the word that you said, that bad word?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I think that the EU, I've had problems with the EU because, and we're not talking about, we happen to have a great relationship with you, but we do have problems with the EU because they've tariffed us. They do it in the form of a VAT tax, which is about 20%, and many other taxes. They sue our companies. They sued Apple.
Wait, what? Dude, the value added tax is not. Wait, what? The VAT doesn't. What? First of all, that's what? Is he trying to like redefine European tax policy in general? Like, what is going on? VAT is not applicable to just imported goods. What are you saying? Or specifically American goods? VAT is across the board. It's literally in the name. It is value added tax. Like, am I misunderstanding something? Did he misspeak, or does he just truly not understand how value added tax works? Like, but this definition is sales tax is a tariff. I mean, the problem with, okay, if VAT was only applicable to American goods, then technically he wouldn't be wrong, I guess, in terms of the impact, because it would potentially lower the amount of American goods that are being purchased, because American goods would be more expensive. Okay, and that's precisely how a tariff works as well. A tariff is going to increase the cost of goods that are coming in, because at the point of when the middleman is purchasing the goods at the point of entry into the country, which automatically increases the cost. Okay, And that cost will always be carried over to the consumer. So a tariff can be seen as a sales tax. The difference is the VAT taxes that he's talking about they're not specific to the United States goods. They're not specific to goods coming just from the United States. It's not country specific at all. It's all goods. It's just another form of regressive taxation. The value added tax is pretty simple. It's in the name. When you're purchasing something, there is a percentage fee applied to that at the point of purchase. Okay? VAT, victory over America tax. Yeah. It also is added to domestic goods as well. The argument is that the tax is due by importers and not at the end of the chain by the customer. VAT is due imports on the EU and elsewhere, unlike in the United States where sales tax only applies in the final transaction in the chain. This could deter an importer of U.S. goods who would be stuck with a VAT bill by the time their goods arrive. Okay, but it's not specific to American goods. A tariff is specific to goods coming in, either specific to a good that has like in normal circumstances, a competitive domestic manufacturing opportunity, or goods coming in the way that Trump is using it from individual countries. A value-added tax is across the board. At least as far as I understand it, it has been in the EU across the board. It's like for domestic goods as well. So I don't know why Reuters is trying to play catch up with Donald Trump. And I don't know why Reuters is trying to play catch up with Donald Trump and trying to make his sentiment make sense when it very clearly is wrong. 40 seconds in.
We haven't. The EU's been very nasty. It's just been, they haven't treated us properly.
This country does not charge tariffs on U.S. goods, so it's not clear what's next for Canada. But Trump now appears to be going after sales taxes, like the GST, or Europe's value-added tax, VAT.
Well, what they are now is they have a 20% VAT tax, which we're considering to be similar or the same as the tariff.
Even though Trump's tariff...
Why are they sane-washing him? This is an objectively incorrect... Am I crazy? Like, this is an objectively incorrect statement. No, you cannot... Dude, he's interfering with tax policy of other countries. This goes beyond trade. He's like, no, I want everyone else to also be a libertarian paradise. What is happening? Is this the final stage of like global neoliberalism? Donald Trump is interfering in foreign markets and their own personal sales taxes and whatnot in an effort to make sure that their coffers are dry, and then, you know, his buddies can come in and purchase all of those underfunded public sectors. Is that what is going on? Like, is that what's happening here? He said, fuck the IMF, fuck the World Bank. I'm sidestepping everything. I'm just using big dick American trade and also our mighty military and global hegemonic superpower status to do this one last thing where if you want to fucking fill your coffers to pay for social safety nets, even if you don't have currency sovereignty, for example, and you actually do need to, tax your citizenry in order to have these beneficial, expansive social safety nets, I'm coming after it. I want you to literally become a poorer country. I want your public sectors to be robbed blind, so that my billionaire buddies can come in and purchase them and privatize them by force. Is he talking about VAT or sales tax? It's both 19% in Germany, for example. Is he confusing them? I'm so confused. No, reach? I don't think that's reach. I'm trying to explain. First of all, that's not a reach. That's not a cap. Donald Trump is objectively wrong. And he also is personally saying he sees a value-added tax as a form of tariff. It's not. He also is not even correct about tariffs to begin with.
Tariff threat is now...
I can't believe this is the one... Dude, this is like kind of boring in general. This is like a kind of boring part of this conversation. And it also doesn't make any sense whatsoever that he's like, this is what he's chosen to do. But like a tariff can be... a tariff will have costs carried over to the consumer and can be seen as like a sales tax or a value-added tax, if you want to consider it that. The difference, however, is that a tariff is either industry-specific, sector-specific, good-specific, or country-specific. A value-added tax is across the board, unless you have exemptions. And I don't think these countries have, exemptions for domestically manufactured goods that can avoid. All right, reporter, less than 1% of fentanyl comes into the U.S. That comes into the U.S. is apprehended at the Canadian border. Why use fentanyl as a reason? They should be apprehending much more.
Mr. Fentanyl, Mr. President, less than 1% of all fentanyl that comes into the Canadian border. So why use fentanyl as a reason?
Because they should be apprehending much more. They're only apprehending 1%. You're right about that. It's a little more than that. But they should be apprehending much more because a lot comes through Canada. And as Mexico gets stronger in terms of the border, it goes up to Canada. And a lot of drugs are coming in through Canada. We can't have that.
Mr. President, fentanyl, Mr.
Yeah.
Less than 1%.
It should be more. They're not apprehending enough. That's it. Yeah, great stuff. It's actually breaking my brain to think about how he's misinterpreting that situation. Like, that's a completely other level of dumbassery. Dude, this man just said a VAT tax is Trump aura draining. Nah, you don't understand. If you like him, he's owning the lib, so he's aura farming. Earlier this morning, I directed my office to work with our state law enforcement partners to conduct a preliminary inquiry into these individuals. Florida has a zero tolerance for human trafficking and violence against women. If any of these alleged crimes trigger Florida jurisdiction, we will hold them accountable. Governor Ron DeSantis says Florida does not welcome Andrew and Tristan Tate after they are flying back from Romania. Donald Trump is in the Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate camp. I assume partially because Barron Trump probably likes him or something. I mean, it makes sense. He's an Aiden Ross head too.
Welcome here. What the state do to send back to Romania or whatever? We have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media. Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. I do know our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, is looking at what state hooks and jurisdiction we may have to be able to deal with this. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where...
Guys, after they took out Jeffrey Epstein, they needed a lower level Jeffrey Epstein, okay? It's simple. It's simple. I mean, you'd theoretically get a lot less hate if you didn't support terrorism and just admitted you were wrong. It's hard to support a group that kills babies. Brother, what are you talking about? Israel is the #1 baby